Let us continue our journey in solving the questions of multiple choice questions of basic course in biomedical research. Now we will start the 19th chapter, Ethical Framework for Health Research. Ethical Framework for Health Research is the 19th chapter. Let us see the first question. In which of the following guidelines discussion on rational and justification of risk-benefit analysis of research and voluntary consent in research was initiated? In which of the following guidelines the discussion on rational and justification of risk-benefit analysis of research and voluntary consent in research was initiated? The options are A. Belmont Report, B. Helsinki Declaration, C is Nuremberg Code, or fourth is CIOMS Guidelines or CIOMS Guidelines. So what is the answer for this question? The answer is C. Nuremberg Code. C. Nuremberg Code. Please concentrate on this slide. Now this is the slide invariably from which at least one question can be asked. Okay, you have each and every line in this is a potential question. So please remember this slide very well. The heading of this slide is Evolution of Various Guidance Documents which has greatly improved the practice of ethics in biomedical research. Okay, now let us go to our question. So in which of the following guidelines discussion on rational and justification of risk-benefit analysis? Okay, it is given in this 1947 Nuremberg Code. It is initiated discussion. It reads as initiated the discussion on rational and justification. These are the terms which are there in our question. Rational justification of research risk benefit analysis competence of investigators and voluntary consent. Voluntary consent is also there in our question. Voluntary consent in research. So when you come across these terms, rational and justification, voluntary consent in research, directly you understand that this belongs to the Nuremberg Code of 1947. Nuremberg Code of 1947. The voluntary consent in research. Okay. Then you have the rational and justification. Okay. So we have completed this first question. We got the answer over here. Next question. In which type of the following study or studies is or are informed consent not necessary? Informed consent not necessary. They are speaking about not necessary. The options are A. Investigation of an outbreak, B. Analysis of mortality data from 2001 to 2010, or using the verbal, or option number C, using verbal autopsy to determine the cause of death, or D. All of the above, or D. All of the above. So in which type of the following study or studies is informed consent not necessary? That when you are taking a mortality data, people who are already dead between 2001 to 2010, it's many years back. For this study or for this analysis, you don't require any informed consent. So our answer for this question is definitely option number B. Next question. In which of the following type of research ethical review is or are mandatory? The options are A. Prevalence of HIV infection using blood investigation, or B. Awareness about diabetes using questionnaire only, or C. Calculate out of the pocket expenditure using secondary data, or D. All of the above. So in which of the following type of research ethical review is or are mandatory? Let us see the options again. Prevalence of HIV infection using the blood investigations, yes, this is correct. Awareness about diabetes using the questionnaire only, yes, even this is correct. Then calculate the out-of-pocket expenditure using secondary data is also correct. So all of the above options are correct options. Okay, please remember this question and this answer. Next question. Which of the following is not important in the context of an informed consent document? Now the options are A. Detailed description of study procedures, or B. Budget of the study, or C. Details regarding the compensation and post-trial access to care, or option number D. Contact details of the principal investigator. So which of the following is not important in the context of informed consent? The answer for this question is option number B. Budget of the study. Budget of the study is not important for informed consent, whereas the other options are required for informed consent. Now see the information given in this slide. This is one of the slide from which one of the questions can be asked regarding informed consent document. Okay. Now in our question, let us see our options. Detailed description of study procedures. Yes, it is written over here. Description of study procedures. Second is budget of the study. Budget of the study is not mentioned in this whole slide. Budget of the study is not mentioned. Okay. Then third option, that is details regarding compensation. They have spoken regarding the compensation. Compensation is also written over here. Compensation. Okay. Then the last one, contact details of the principal investigator. You should know the contacts. See, it is over here. So contacts, compensation to and description, all these things were mentioned in our question. So budget of the study has not been spoken regarding the informed consent document. So we got the answer for our question. Now the next question. In the middle of a clinical trial, one participant decides to withdraw from the trial, but the investigator pressurizes the participant to continue in the study till it completes. So which of the following ethical principle does the investigator violates? The investigator is violating by stopping the participant in the middle of the clinical trial. So what is this violation? It comes under what? Options are A, justice, B, autonomy, C, beneficence, or D is non-maleficence. Non-maleficence. So the answer for our question is B, autonomy. It is autonomy. This type of situation is in autonomy. You see the discussion now. See this slide. The first component. This slide is for the researchers who should follow the ethical principles. Okay. Now please remember this slide. The first one is respect for autonomy. What does it mean? Autonomy is a Latin for self-rule. Okay. So this is also a question. This is also a question. It was previously asked. Autonomy is Latin for self-rule. You have to respect the decisions made by people concerning their own lives. Okay. So this is respecting the human dignity. So this is the autonomy, and for our situation or for our situation in the question, autonomy best suits as the answer. Next question. Which of the following are not the ethical practices in health research? Chalo. The options are A, taking informed consent from participants prior to study participation. Yes, it is an ethical practice. B, giving lot of money to increase the study participation. No, this is not an ethical practice. C, lack of adherence to study protocol. There should not be lack of adherence. You should always adhere to the study protocol. So lack of adherence is not a ethical practice. So therefore option number D, that is both B and C, are options of not ethical practices in health research. Please remember the question and the answer. Next question. Do not harm concept was emphasized in which of the following ethical principles? Do not harm concept. Okay. Options are A, justice, B, autonomy, C, beneficence, or D is non-maleficence. Okay. Beneficence or non-maleficence. The answer for this question is D, non-maleficence. Is D, non-maleficence. See this slide again regarding the ethical principles. In the non-maleficence part, we must not harm others. It is written over here, we must not harm the others. See, it is written over here, we must not harm others. Okay. Now in our question, do not harm concept or we must not harm others, both are one and the same. So therefore it comes under non-maleficence. Non-maleficence. Please remember this answer. Okay. And what does autonomy? Autonomy is obligation to respect the decisions made by the participants. Okay. We have seen what is autonomy. We have seen what is maleficence. In coming future questions, we will be seeing what is beneficence and what is justice also. Next question. Genetic research that involves human participants and is conducted by private research institute should follow what? A, ICMR guidelines, B, genome policy and genetic research guidelines of 2000, or the option number C is both A and B, or option number D is neither A nor B. So the answer for this question is option number C, that is both A and B. You have to follow both ICMR guidelines and also the genome policy and the Genome Policy and Genetic Research Guidelines of 2000. Next question. While conducting research among tribal populations, which of the following is recommended? We are speaking regarding the tribal populations now. Option A, consent from the tribal head or group consent is desirable. Or B, group consent can replace individual consent. Or C, women can be excluded from the informed consent process. Or D, confidentiality is not required. The answer for this question is option number A, that is consent from the tribal head or group consent is desirable. In this slide, much of the information is given regarding what is informed consent. Okay, there is a question regarding what is informed consent. There is a question over here. There is a question over here. We will come across all the questions one by one. As far as our question is concerned, the discussion was regarding the conducting research among the tribal populations and taking consent from the tribal head. See, it's written over here in the last line. Although the group consent is desirable, that is group consent is desirable, that is the tribal studies, it cannot replace individual consent. It cannot replace the individual consent. Okay. So the second line, that is group consent can replace individual consent, is wrong. Women can be excluded from informed consent process, also wrong. Confidentiality is not required, it is written. So actually confidentiality is required. So therefore this statement, confidentiality not required, is wrong. So therefore, so what is correct for among the options? Option number A, that is consent from the tribal head or group consent is desirable. So please remember the answer for this question. Next question. In a clinical research, the researcher knowingly excludes recruitment of female participants, knowingly, without any compelling indications. So which of the following ethical principle does the investigator violate? Is it justice? Is it autonomy? Is it beneficence? Or it is non-maleficence? The answer for this question is A, justice. A, justice. See the discussion down. Now see the justice part. Justice part is an obligation to provide all with whatever they deserve. So basically there is an obligation to treat all the people equally, fairly and impartially. All the people are equal, fair and impartial. Okay, because all the individuals should have an opportunity to participate in research unless they are contraindicated. Unless contraindicated, all the individuals should have an opportunity. Okay, and we must not impose unfair burdens. Okay, so regarding the situation in our question, the situation was that the female participants were getting excluded without any indication, So this comes under justice. So this comes under justice. Please remember the answer for this question. Next question. In which of the following situation is ethics review essential? Ethics review essential. Now let us take the options. Option number A, when already available or archived data are used for research. Or B, involving some risk when some questions are asked, some samples are collected or some drugs are given. Or C, that is both A and B are correct. Or D, only B is correct. So in which of the following situation is ethics review essential? Let us see the options again. When already available or archived data are used for research, even then you want an ethics review? Yes, this is correct. Second is involving some risk with some questions are asked, some samples are collected and some drugs are given. So even this is correct. So both A and B are correct. So we got the answer for our question, that is option number C. Next question. Scientifically well-planned research studies are more likely to correctly address the human subjects and ethical issues. Is it a true statement or a false statement? Scientifically well-planned research studies are more likely to correctly address the human subjects and ethical issues. Is a true statement. It is a true statement. Please remember the answer. Next question. What is the purpose of ICH guidelines? ICH is in the research is nothing but International Council on Harmonization. Please remember this full form of ICH in research. It is International Council on Harmonization. So what is the purpose of it? Let us see the options. Option number A, to provide ethical guidelines for research. No. Number B, to provide legal guidelines for research. No. Number C, to provide a framework for research design. Framework for research design is no. So when all the above three are wrong, then definitely option number D should be correct. That is to ensure good clinical practice. Let us see the discussion. See in this chart, as I have told, that we have to have an idea what is the information being given in this chart. The last part of this 1996 ICH, that is International Council on Harmonization, speaks regarding the good clinical practice. Speaks regarding the good clinical practice in research. Please remember this point. So this is the question. What we are discussing about? What we are discussing about? Next question. Study monitors, regulators and ethics committee members have an authority to verify the consent documentation of research participants. Is this a true statement or a false statement? Who are all can verify the consent documents? Who are the dignitaries? Study monitors, regulators, ethics committee. Yes, all these three people have the authority to verify the consent documentation. So therefore this statement is a true statement. It is a true statement. Next question. Which of the following is not true about informed consent? Not true in the sense one statement is wrong, rest of the three statements are correct. Now let us see the statements. Option A, the informed consent helps participants take an informed decision about participation in the research study. Or option B, informed consent has information on potential risks and benefits of the study. Option C, informed consent process intends to protect the study participants. Or option D, the informed consent taken by coercion is considered valid. So which is not true? The answer for this question is option number D, that is the informed consent taken by coercion is considered valid, is not a true statement, is not a true statement. Next question. Which of the following have the guidance in the Belmont report? Guidance in the Belmont report. Okay, chalo. Options are A, the procedure of informed consent. B, the basic ethics principle of autonomy, justice and beneficence. C, review by the ethics committee. Or D, all of the above. So which of the following have the guidance in the Belmont report? Let us see the options again. The procedure of informed consent, yes, it is present. B, the basic ethics principle of autonomy, justice and beneficence, yes, even this is present. C, the review by the ethics committee, yes, even this is present. And then lastly, all of the above, so all of the above. So see the discussion down. See this Belmont report of 1978 and 79. Okay, it describes the basic ethics principles of autonomy, of justice and of beneficence, emphasized informed consent and review by the ethics committee So this is regarding the Belmont report. So this is a question which has been asked just now. We have seen over here. Okay. Next question. Which of the following is typically not within the domain of ethical review of proposed research? The options are A, novelty of the research, B, competence of researchers, C, relevance of research, or D, to advocate for the study in the community. So which of the following is typically not within the domain of ethical review? The option is option number D, that is to advocate for study in the community, is not within the domain of ethical review of the proposed research. Otherwise, novelty, competence and relevance are all inside the domain of ethics. The next question. The process of informed consent can be repeated several times during the research study if it is necessary. Is it a true statement or a false statement? The answer is that it is definitely a true statement. It can be repeated. It can be repeated several times. Please remember this point. See the discussion on this informed consent. As I told you, this chart is supposed to be remembered. Okay. In our question, they have asked regarding whether the informed consent can be repeated or not. So we have taken the answer that it can be repeated. Now, see this point over here. I am circling that the process of informed consent can be repeated several times during the research study if necessary. So please remember the question and please remember the answer also. Right. Next question. As part of the evaluation of a new vaccine which requires taking a daily oral dose of refrigerated vaccine, the research team offers to provide a refrigerator to families of participants who do not have one. Okay. So, which of the following ethical issues the Institutional Ethics Committee will have to deal with while reviewing the research study? So, the options are A. Undue inducement, B is coercion, C is compromising the principle of justice, or D none of the above. The answer for this question is option number A, that is undue inducement. So, if you come across this question in the examination regarding a refrigerator being given to a participant before conducting, then you take the answer as undue inducement. Next question. In an observational study on menstrual hygiene among the school-going girls aged between 14 to 16 years, informed assent will be required to be taken from the adolescent girls. So, in addition, the informed consent will be required from whom? The options are A. Parent of the adolescent girls, B. Institutional head, C. Both, or D. None of the above. The age is 14 to 16 years. The answer is option number A, that is parent of the adolescent girls. Institutional head is not required to give consent. Parents of 14 to 16 years aged group girls should also give consent. Please remember this point. Next question, state whether true or false. Review of the health records for research does not require approval of the institute's ethical committee. If you are reviewing health records for research, does it require or not? So here the question is that it does not require approval of the institute ethics committee. Is it a true statement or a false statement? The answer is that it is definitely a false statement. It is definitely a false statement because it is necessary to take approval from the institute's ethics committee. Next question. Informed consent must be, options are A. written only, or B. verbal and informal, or C. voluntary and comprehensible, or D. obtained only at the end of the study. So what is the appropriate answer for the informed consent? Let us see the options again. Informed consent may be written only. Is it true? No, this is wrong. Informed consent must be verbal and informal. No, even this is wrong. Informed consent is voluntary and comprehensible. Yes, this is correct. You cannot force anybody, so it is voluntary. Lastly, informed consent should be obtained only at the end of the study only. No, this is not correct. Okay. So what is only is not only. What is always is not always. That is the basic rule of answering the MCQs. As far as this question is concerned, they have said that obtained only at the end of the study. So therefore it is not the option. So answer for our question is informed consent must be voluntary and comprehensible. Next question. Which of the following does not describe the ethical principles in research? So what are the options? Options are A. Nuremberg Code, B. Helsinki Declaration, or C. Council for International Organization and Medical Sciences, or D. Bohr Report. So which of the following does not describe the ethical principles? The answer for this question is option number D, that is Bohr report. Bohr report does not describe the ethical principles, whereas the other three, Nuremberg, Helsinki and CIOMS, that is the Council for International Organization on Medical Sciences, they speak regarding the ethical principles in the research. Just sit down. See this chart. Because this chart has been made or improved the practice of ethics in biomedical research. They have mentioned the Nuremberg Code, the Helsinki Declaration, then CIOMS. These were in the question. Okay, these were in our question. Whereas the Bohr report is not mentioned in our question. So apart from these three, the other two are Belmont and ICH. And all these things are concerned with the ethics in the biomedical research. Okay. Next question. When a research study is planned among adolescents between 12 to 15 years, the following is not required. Just now we have seen for the adolescent girls, we require from the parents. Consent is required from the parents also. But here the question is reverse. What is not required? They are asking. Let us see the options. The options are A. Assent from participant, B. Consent from participant, C. Consent from the parent, or D. Consent from legally accepted representatives. So what is not required? Because the age is 12 to 15 years, consent from the participant is not required. Consent from the parent is required. Consent from legally acceptable representative and assent from the participant is also required. Okay, please remember this point. Next question. What is the primary role of a research ethics committee? What is the primary role of research ethics committee? The options are A. To approve the research proposals, B. To conduct the research studies, C. To monitor the research studies, or D. To provide funding for research. What is the primary role? The primary role of a research ethics committee is to approve the research proposals. Please remember this answer for this question. Next question. State whether true or false. Once a participant has provided informed consent, it cannot be withdrawn. Is it true or false? The answer is that it is false, because participant can withdraw consent at any time. Next question. Which of this is not a part of informed consent process? Once again, regarding the informed consent. The options are A. Confidentiality, B. Disclosure of risks and benefits, C. Compensation for lost wages, or D. Encouraging the person to consent. So not a part of informed consent process. Let us see the options again. Confidentiality, yes, it is a part of informed consent process. Disclosure of risks and benefits, yes, even this is a part of informed consent process. Compensation for lost wages, yes, even this is a part of informed consent process. Whereas encouraging the person to consent is not a part of. It is not a part of the informed consent process. Please remember this answer. See the discussion of this informed consent document. In our question, they have spoken regarding the confidentiality, which is mentioned over here. They have spoken regarding the disclosure of risks and benefits, which is mentioned over here. Both risk is mentioned, benefits are also mentioned. So risks, benefits, and confidentiality are also mentioned. Next, compensation for lost wages. Even the compensation parts is also mentioned. Okay, so all these things are mentioned. And what is not mentioned is encouraging the person to consent is not mentioned, because you do not encourage any person to forcefully sign a consent. Please remember this point. See the point over here. The second point, informed, free and independent consent without the coerce or force. Okay, the participants, it is regarding the participants. Okay, so without coerce or without coercion or without force, you take the consent. In the option they have mentioned encouraging the person to consent. So there is nothing like encouragement. It should be on voluntary basis. Okay, so this chart of informed consent and this chart of informed consent, please keep all the points in your minds, because invariably one question may be asked from this chart or this chart. Next question. Who is responsible for ensuring that research is conducted in accordance with the ethical principles? The options are A. Researcher, B. REC. REC is nothing but Research Ethics Committee. Research Ethics Committee. Okay. Chalo. So the question once again, who is responsible for ensuring that research is conducted in accordance with the ethical principle? Is it the researcher, or the Research Ethics Committee, or the sponsor, or the participant? Who is responsible for this exercise? The answer is that the researcher is responsible for ensuring that research is conducted in accordance with the ethical principle. Next question. Which of the following is not a responsibility of the Institutional Ethics Committee? The options are A. To evaluate the potential benefit from the study to the community, or B. Protect the rights of the study participants, or C. Sanction the funding for the study, or D. Re-evaluate the study if and when modified. The answer is very simple. Ethics Committee is never associated with sanctioning of funding for the study. So this is the answer for this question, that it is not a responsibility for the Institutional Ethics Committee. Next question. When a particular ethnic group is excluded from a research study without any valid scientific reason, this is a breach of what? We have already seen this. This is called as justice. We have seen this is an example of females, that the females were not included. One question we have seen previously in this chapter where the females were not included as a part without giving any reason. So that is called as justice. So even this question is the same, that it is justice. Answer is justice for this question. Next question. One of the following is an unethical principle. Let us see the options. A. Self-experimentation. B. Justice. C. Non-maleficence. Or D. Beneficence. So answer is very simple. It is self-experimentation. Self-experimentation is an unethical process. Please remember this point. Next question. Who are not the stakeholders in informed consent process? Options are A. Participants. B. Researchers. C. Care providers. Or D. Sponsors. So who are not stakeholders? Let us see the options again. Participants, definitely they themselves will give the informed consent. Researchers, they will take the informed consent. Care providers are not required. Sponsors, yes, they can be used as witnesses, or they should know regarding the informed consent. So we got the answer for a question that care providers are not the stakeholders in informed consent process. Next question. Which of the following is not an objective of regulatory review? Okay. Now the options are A. Budget, that is foreign funding. B. Evaluate the post-clinical trials data. C. Research in border or high security areas. Or D. Exchange of scientists or visitors. So which is not an objective of regulatory review? Let us see the options again. Budgeting and foreign funding, yes, it is an objective of regulatory review. Evaluation of post-clinical trials data is not a part of regulatory review. No, no, no. So this is the answer for our question. Let us see the other options. Research in the border of high security areas, yes, even this comes at regulation. And the last option, that is exchange of scientists or visitors, also comes under the regulatory review. Next question. India has legalized GCP guidelines in what year? Options are A. 2000 or 2001 or 2002 or 2003. What is GCP? GCP is nothing but good clinical practice. Okay, good clinical practice. When was it legalized? It was legalized in the year 2001. Please remember this point. 2001, good clinical practice was legalized. Okay, chalo. The next question. CIOMS stands for Council for International Organizations of Medical Sciences. Is it true or false? Yes, it is definitely true statement. CIOMS stands for the Council for International Organizations. C, I, O, M is for medical, S is for sciences. So the Council for International Organizations of Medical Sciences is the answer for this question. Next question. What is the purpose of the REC's review of a research proposal? The options are A. To ensure the research is scientifically sound. B. To ensure the research is ethically sound. C. To ensure the research is feasible. Or D. To ensure that the research is funded. So what is the purpose of the Research Ethics Committee review of a research proposal? It is to ensure that the research is ethically sound. So option number B is the answer for our question. Next question. Careful regulatory review results in answering some of the ethical concerns. Is it true or a false statement? The careful regulatory review results in answering some of the ethical concerns is definitely a true statement. A true statement. Now see this slide. In this slide, see the last portion which is given in the box. The careful regulatory review will result in answering some of the ethical concerns. So this has directly been taken as a question. So such type of questions can also be asked in the examination. They simply put forward the blanket statement. They are asking whether it is a true statement or a false statement. So we have answered this question as that it is a true statement. Next question. Whom does informed consent benefit? Options are A. Research participant, B. Investigator, or C. both A and B, or D. the witness. So who will be at benefit? Definitely the participant will be at benefit, and also the investigator will be at benefit. So therefore, both A and B are at benefit of doing the exercise of informed consent. Please remember the answer for this question. If they mention both participant and investigator, please take both participant and investigator as the answer, or otherwise they will ask only either the participant or the investigator. Okay, please remember this question and the answer for this question. Next question. What is the primary principle of ethical research in healthcare? The options are A. Respect for persons, B. Beneficence, C. Non-maleficence, or D. Autonomy. The primary principle of ethics is respect. You have to give respect for any person. So this is called as respect for persons. The answer for this question is option number A. Respect for persons. Next question. Autonomy is the Latin term for self-rule. Is it a true or false statement? It is a true statement. I already spoke regarding this while discussing regarding the autonomy. I told that this was previously asked as a question. That's a simple question, but it was previously asked. Okay, so autonomy is the Latin for self-rule. It was a question, and it is a true statement. Next question. What is the minimum age for informed consent in research? Is it 16 years? Is it 18 years? Is it 21 years? Or it varies by country? So what is the minimum age? If they would have mentioned it as India, then you could have taken 18 years. But if they have not mentioned as India and they are giving all these 4 options, then you should mark the answer as varies by countries. Varies by country should be taken as the answer. Okay, please remember this question and the answer. Next question. State whether true or false. An interview-based research is exempted from the ethics committee review. Is this a true statement or a false statement? An interview-based research. The answer is that it is a false statement, because interview-based research is not exempted from ethics committee review. Even they have to undergo through the process of ethics committee review. Okay. Then next question. Which of the following study primarily leads to the establishment of the Belmont report? Now this is important question. Which of the following study primarily led to the establishment of the Belmont report? Is it A. Nuremberg's trial, or B. the Tuskegee syphilis study, or C. the doctor's trial, or D. the Scopes monkey trial? The answer for this question is B. Tuskegee syphilis study. Tuskegee syphilis study led to the establishment of the Belmont report. Actually, this question is from the advanced course, but because it was asked over here, and we have answered the question. Okay, so the next question. Which of the following context will fall under the breach of justice, one of the basic ethical principles? The options are A. Disclosing personal identity of the study participants, or B. Conveying insufficient information about the study, or C. Excluding a particular gender from participation in a study without any valid reason, or D. Failing to provide the required safety measures of the participant. So which of the following context will fall under the breach of justice? So this is a repeated question. We have spoken it twice in this chapter. The answer for this question is you are excluding unnecessarily without giving any obvious reasons for the participant. So therefore the option number C is the correct answer for this question. Next question. The Nuremberg Code was developed in response to what? Options are A. World War I, or 2. Unethical medical experiments in World War II, or C. The Cold War, or D. The 1960s civil rights movement. So when was this code developed? This code was developed in response to option number B, that is unethical medical experiments which were done during World War II. The prisoners of war were captured and they were sent for unethical experiments. Next question. What is the purpose of the Declaration of Helsinki? Okay. The options are A. To provide ethical guidelines for research, B. To provide legal guidelines for research, C. To provide funding for the research, or D. To provide a framework for research design. So we know the answer for this question. I have already spoken regarding this in the very big chart. The answer is A, that is to provide the ethical guidelines for the research. Once again, see the chart. See the second part of this chart, the Helsinki Declaration of 1964, and which was revised subsequently in 1983, 1989, 1996, 2000, 2008 and 2013. All these years they have been revising. They are speaking regarding the commitment to individual rights and to make informed decisions, investigators' duties, research participants' welfare and vulnerability. All these things are in the practice of ethics, to improve the practice of ethics, please. Okay. So therefore, we got the answer for our question. The purpose of declaration was to provide ethical guidance for research. Next question. Which of the following ethical principles suggests that the research plan should be fair and correct to everyone, irrespective of any socio, demographic or cultural factors? Is it justice? Is it autonomy? Is it beneficence or non-maleficence? This is for the fourth time. I think this question is being asked in a different manner, because we know that the answer for this question is A, justice. A, justice. Okay. Next question. Informed consent primarily deals with which of the following ethical principles? Is it autonomy, justice, beneficence, or non-maleficence? Informed consent will speak regarding which ethical principle? We have seen this previously. It is a repeated question. The answer is simple. It is A, autonomy. A, autonomy. Okay. Next question. State whether true or false. It is not advisable to repeat the informed consent process during the study. Now this is a repeated question. So this is a false statement, because it is advisable. You can take many consents during the process of the clinical trial. So the answer for this question is that it is a false statement. Now see the information given in this slide. I have spoken this previously also in one of the questions, because the process of informed consent, it can be repeated several times during the research study if necessary. It is clearly written over here. Okay, and in our question they have asked that it is not advisable to repeat the informed consent process. So therefore the statement is a false statement, because informed consent can be repeated several times. Next question. Which of the following statement is incorrect? It is incorrect about informed consent. Again regarding informed consent. Options are A, informed consent process can be repeated if required during the conduct of the study. Yes, we know it is a correct statement. B, individual consent is not required in the presence of a group consent. Let us think about it. Third option, informed consent must have the complete details of the proposed research. Yes, definitely this is a true statement. And last, the contact information of the principal investigator is a must in the information sheet. Yes, even this is correct. So by default, the option number 2 is incorrect regarding informed consent. What does it say in this question? It says in this question that the individual consent is not required in presence of a group consent. Although you are taking group consent, you are still supposed to take individual consent also. Please remember this point. The last question in this chapter. Which of the following is recommended when a study participant is illiterate and cannot sign the informed consent form? Now this is a very important question practically. Please remember this point. You are going into a group, you encounter an illiterate person who cannot sign the informed consent. What will you do? Let us see the options. A, informed consent process can be skipped. Is that so? Or B, you need to have an impartial witness. Or C, exclude the individual from the participation. Or D, field investigator can sign the form. So let us see the options again. Informed consent process can be skipped. No, you cannot skip any informed consent process. Second, need to have an impartial witness. Yes, witness is required. So we will take this as answer as of now. Third, exclude the individual from the participant. No, even this is not correct. Or D, field investigator can sign the form. No, field investigator cannot sign the form in this situation. So the answer for this question is option number B, that is need to have an impartial witness. Okay. So with this we complete the 19th chapter of Ethical Framework for Health Research. Thank you.